Once upon a time, there lived a woman named Isabella. She was not just any woman. She was one of the best teachers in the state. Her school was big, clean, and known for having the smartest students. Isabella taught English and was loved by every student in her class. Her voice was soft like a song, and even the noisiest child would become quiet when she spoke. The parents loved her too. They would smile and greet her after school. Some gave her gifts, wrappers, fruits, or even small money during visiting days. Everyone said, "Miss Isabella is so calm, so kind, so perfect." But nobody knew her secret. Every evening, after the last school bell rang and all the children went home, Isabella would lock her classroom door. She would walk slowly to the staff room, look around to make sure nobody was watching, and then reach into her bag. She would bring out a small bottle. Then, she would quietly enter the staff toilet, close the door gently, and stay there for a long time. That was her hiding place. That was where her secret lived. Isabella drank her own urine. Yes. Every evening, she would pee into the bottle and drink it, quickly, with her eyes closed. Her face would squeeze in pain. The taste was bitter, like rust and old coins. But to her, it was like magic. It made her feel strong. It made her feel safe. She didn't know why she needed it. She didn't want to do it. But she couldn't stop. It was like something inside her would cry and shake if she didn't do it. She had kept this secret for years. Nobody knew. Not the students. Not the other teachers. Not her family. Isabella lived all alone in a small, neat house not far from school. She had no husband. No children. No friends. Just silence and her secret. Many men had tried to talk to her. Some said, "You are so beautiful, Miss Isabella. Can I take you out?" She would frown and walk away. Others sent her flowers and wrote sweet letters. She would tear them up and throw them in the dustbin. Her sisters were all married. Even her younger sister had 2 children. But Isabella didn't care. She told them, "I am fine. I don't need a man." But the truth was different. She didn't want anyone too close. She was scared they would find out. How could she ever explain? Would a man still love her if he knew she drank her own pee? Would her family still respect her? Would her students still call her the best? No. So she lived alone. She spent her nights reading books, watching old movies, and sipping her warm urine like tea. Her life was lonely, but she didn't mind. At least, it was safe. But everything began to change one hot Tuesday afternoon. The sun was high. The fan in the classroom was blowing loudly. The children were restless. In class, a boy named Jack was making noise. He liked to show off. He always wanted to be the strongest, the bravest, the fastest. Jack and his friends had finished their test early. So they started whispering and laughing. Isabella didn't notice. She was busy marking papers. Jack's best friend, William, saw Isabella's water flask on the teacher's table. It was pink and shiny. The kind that kept water cold or warm for hours. William nudged Jack and whispered, "I dare you to drink from Miss Isabella's bottle." Jack laughed. "How much will you give me?" 2 meat pies, William said, shaking his nylon bag. Jack stood up quietly, sneaked to the front, and picked up the flask. "Jack," one of the girls whispered. "Don't do it." But Jack opened it. He sniffed it. His face changed a little. "You. What kind of water is this?" He looked back at his friends. They were all staring. Then Jack did something that would change everything. He tipped the flask and took a big gulp. For 2 seconds, everything was quiet. Then Jack's face twisted in horror. His eyes grew wide. He dropped the flask. "Yuck. What is this? He started coughing. Then he screamed. Bleh. He vomited all over the floor. The whole class jumped back. The smell filled the room. Someone shouted, "It smells like PE." William covered his nose. You. He drank PE. A girl screamed, "It was in Miss Isabella's bottle." Another boy cried, "She drinks her own pee." Isabella stood up, frozen. Her face turned white like chalk. No. No, no, she whispered. It was too late. The secret was out. And it had come out in the worst way possible. Right there in front of her children. Jack was crying now. His face was red. His mouth foaming. He kept spitting and spitting. "I'm going to die. I'm going to die." Students ran out of the classroom. Others pulled out their phones and started recording. Miss Isabella stood still, her legs shaking. Then, the principal walked in. He stopped at the door, looked at Jack on the floor, saw the pink flask, smelled the air. His eyes slowly turned to Isabella. And in that moment, her world began to fall apart. The room was quiet again. But it was not a good kind of quiet. It was the kind that made your chest tight, like when something really bad has happened and no one knows what to say. He looked around. He saw Jack, still crying, still coughing. He saw the other students, their backs pressed against the walls, their hands over their noses. And then he saw Isabella. She was still standing. Her eyes were red. Her mouth was open like she was trying to explain something, but no words came out. "What is going on here?" the principal asked, his voice low and strong. Jack pointed at the pink flask. I drank it. From her bottle. It's not water. It's PE. I drank PE. The whole class gasped again. The principal's face changed. His eyes widened. He stepped back as the smell reached his nose. He bent down, picked up the flask, sniffed it once, and quickly dropped it. He turned to Isabella. "Miss Isabella, is this true?" he asked. Isabella opened her mouth, but nothing came out. The words were hiding somewhere deep inside her, like scared mice. I didn't mean for this to happen," she finally whispered. He took it without asking. I never told anyone. I was careful. I didn't know." "Please," the principal said firmly. "Come with me. Now." He helped Jack up and told another teacher to take him to the school clinic. Then he led Isabella out of the classroom. Some students followed behind, whispering. "Miss Isabella drinks her own pee. You. She's crazy." Others recorded videos on their phones. Isabella didn't look at them. She kept her head down. Her heart was beating like a drum. Inside the principal's office, the door shut behind her with a loud click. "Sit down," he said. She sat on the hard chair across from his table. Her hands were shaking. The principal did not sit. He stood by the window, staring outside. "Do you know what kind of school this is?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she said softly. "This is a school for children whose parents are doctors, lawyers, senators, people who trust us to keep their children safe and healthy." He turned to face her. "You brought urine into this school. You kept it in your flask. A child drank it. Do you understand how serious this is?" Tears rolled down Isabella's cheeks. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she whispered. "It's something I've lived with for a long time. I thought I had it under control." The principal sighed. "I'm sorry, Isabella. You'll have to go home for now. Until we decide what to do." "Am I fired?" "No," he said. "Not yet. But parents will hear about this. The board will meet. You need to leave now. Quietly. before the news spreads. But it was too late for that. Outside the principal's office, a group of students had already posted videos on social media. By evening, hashtags were everywhere. Hashtag urine teacher. Hashtag Miss Isabella exposed. Hashtag she drinks pee. Hashtag Isabella the urine queen. The internet does not wait. Within hours, the videos were shared all over the state. People laughed. Others got angry. Memes were made. Pictures of her students pass. Urine magic. But the school was not laughing. That night, hundreds of parents messaged the school WhatsApp group. My child will not return until that woman is gone. She needs help, not our children. This is sickness. She is dangerous. The school's phone did not stop ringing. The next morning, news reporters were outside the school gate. One of them pointed a mic at a mother. What do you think about the teacher caught drinking her own urine? The mother shouted, she should be in a hospital. Not a school. Isabella sat alone in her house, curtains closed, lights off. She watched the videos on her phone. She read the comments. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had no one to talk to. She wanted to scream. She wanted to hide. Then her phone rang. It was the school. She almost didn't answer. But something told her to pick up. It was the principal's voice. Isabella, he said quietly, there's something you need to know. What is it? She asked, sitting up straight. It's Jack, he said. Isabella's heart stopped for a second. What about him? He is in the hospital. The doctor said he's very sick. After drinking the urine, he became very ill. His stomach is badly infected. No, Isabella cried. Please tell me he's okay. They're trying their best, the principal said. But the police have been informed. This is very serious. Are they coming for me? There was a pause. Yes. That evening, the police came to her door. They were kind at first. They told her to get her things. They told her she was under arrest. For poisoning a child, they said. But it wasn't meant for him. Isabella cried. He took it without asking. I didn't force him. But it didn't matter. The law didn't care. The world didn't care. The only thing they saw was a teacher who drank her own urine. And now, a boy was in the hospital. Possibly dying. Isabella was taken away in a police van. As the van drove past her school, she saw students standing outside the gate. Some of them pointed. Some shouted, urine teacher. Others just stared. One girl looked at her with sad eyes, as if she wanted to understand. But most had already made up their minds. Isabella was no longer the best teacher. She was a monster. A mystery. A warning. The prison cell was cold. Isabella sat on the hard bench, her arms wrapped tightly around her body. The small window above her head had bars. The light that came in was weak. It felt like the whole world had turned dark. She had not eaten all day. She had not spoken to anyone. The policeman who brought her food had looked at her with disgust and whispered to another officer, "That's the one, the teacher who drinks pee." Isabella heard it. She always heard them. Even in jail, the whispers followed her like shadows. In the outside world, her story had become the biggest news in the state. TV stations showed clips of the crying boy, Jack, vomiting in class. They added scary music and big letters that said, "Urine drinking teacher exposed." Radio stations talked about it. Social media was on fire. People shared her picture everywhere. Some made jokes. Some made up stories. She used it for juju. She is not human. She was planning to poison the whole school. Some people even said she drank her pee to stay young forever. Every day, new lies were added. And then the worst news came. Jack had died. Yes. After 2 days in the hospital, the little boy's body gave up. The infection had spread too fast. The doctors tried everything, but he couldn't fight anymore. When Isabella heard, she screamed so loudly that 2 other prisoners covered their ears. No. No. He wasn't supposed to die. He wasn't supposed to die. Tears rolled down her face like a river. She rocked back and forth, her body shaking. I never wanted to hurt him, she whispered. I just wanted peace. The court date came quickly. Isabella stood in front of the judge, wearing the same clothes she had worn for 3 days. Her hair was messy. Her face was pale. The courtroom was full. Parents from the school. Teachers. Even reporters with cameras. The judge asked, Miss Isabella, do you understand why you are here? She nodded slowly. Yes, sir. You are accused of causing the death of a minor by serving him human waste. But I didn't serve him, she shouted, for the first time raising her voice. He took it without asking. It was my flask. My personal bottle. The court went silent. Then a lawyer stood up. Your Honor, he said, that may be true. But Miss Isabella brought that dangerous item into a school full of children. That is enough for this charge to stand. People in the crowd whispered and nodded. The judge banged his hammer. Silence. After many hours, the judge gave his sentence. Miss Isabella, he said, you are hereby sentenced to life in prison. You are not safe to be around children. May God help you. Isabella fell to her knees. Her head touched the floor. She did not cry. She did not shout. She just closed her eyes. And remembered the taste of urine in her mouth. The one thing that had made her feel strong, had now destroyed her life. She was moved to a large prison outside the city. Days passed. Then weeks. Nobody came to visit her. Not her sisters. Not anyone from school. She was all alone. Until one day, a woman walked into the prison with a clipboard in her hand. She had bright eyes and glasses. Her name tag said Dr. Angela. Good morning, Isabella, she said kindly. Isabella didn't look up. Dr. Angela pulled a chair and sat close to her. I'm a psychologist, she said. I talk to people. Help them understand their pain. Help them remember what they forgot. I don't want to talk, Isabella whispered. That's okay, Dr. Angela said. I'll sit here anyway. For the next few days, Dr. Angela kept visiting. She brought small things, books, sweets, fresh socks. She didn't ask about the pee. She didn't call her crazy. She just listened. And slowly, Isabella began to talk. One day, in the quiet prison visiting room, Isabella whispered something no one had ever heard before. My sister, and my father, used to call me useless. Dr. Angela looked up. Isabella's eyes were far away, like she was looking at her past. They told me I was stupid. That I would never be smart. My father used to hit me with a belt when I got things wrong. She paused. My older sister always laughed. She called me empty brain every day. Dr. Angela wrote something in her notebook. I tried to study hard. But my mind, it would forget things. Tears slipped from Isabella's eyes. There was a teacher. I can't remember her name. She used to teach us after school in primary 5. She told me something. What did she tell you? Dr. Angela asked gently. Isabella sniffed. She said, there's a secret to becoming smart. You must drink your first urine every day. That's where all your knowledge goes. Dr. Angela's hand stopped writing. She told me not to tell anyone. She said it worked for her. So I tried it. And, how did it make you feel? Dr. Angela asked. At first, I felt sick. But then, I passed one test. Just one. And I thought, maybe it was working. Maybe I was getting smarter. She wiped her face with her sleeve. I couldn't stop after that. I was scared. If I stopped, maybe I'd become useless again. Silence filled the room. Isabella looked at Dr. Angela. I don't know why I believed her. But I did. For all these years. I believed I needed it. Like food. Like breath. Dr. Angela leaned forward. You were just a child, Isabella. A scared child. Someone gave you poison disguised as wisdom. That's not your fault. And for the first time in many, many years. Isabella smiled. A small, broken smile. But a smile. Because maybe, just maybe, someone finally understood. The days in prison began to feel different. Isabella still wore the same brown uniform. She still woke up on a hard bed with a thin blanket. She still heard whispers from other prisoners who looked at her like she was a ghost. But now, she had someone. Dr. Angela. She came every 3 days. Sometimes just to sit. Sometimes to talk. And Isabella talked more and more. She started to remember things. Things she had locked deep inside her mind. One rainy afternoon, Isabella sat by the window in the prison library. The sky was gray. The rain danced on the glass. Dr. Angela placed a small recorder on the table. Today, she said, I want you to tell me about the first day you believed you were stupid. Isabella closed her eyes. Her hands began to shake. I was 8 years old, she said. My father came back from work. He was tired. Mama had cooked rice. But I made a mistake. I spilled water on his shoes. She paused. Dr. Angela waited. He slapped me. Hard. My ears rang. He shouted, You can't even walk well. You're useless. Tears fell from her eyes. My older sister laughed. She said, You better go and learn sense somewhere. Dr. Angela reached out and held her hand. You didn't deserve that, Isabella, she said. I believed them, Isabella whispered. I believed I was not smart. Then Isabella spoke about the lesson teacher. She was pretty. Young. She always wore shiny shoes and red lipstick. She told me one day after class, Do you want to be brilliant? I said yes. Isabella's voice got softer. She said, Then drink your first urine every morning. That's where your brain wakes up. Dr. Angela's mouth dropped a little. Isabella nodded slowly. She said it was a secret. That it worked for her. And I believed her. Dr. Angela wrote something down. This is not just addiction, Isabella, she said. This is programming. Brainwashing. You were manipulated by someone who should have protected you. Weeks passed. And then one day, something strange happened. As Isabella walked back to her cell, a younger prison guard looked at her and said, Ma, can I ask something? Isabella paused, surprised. The guard scratched his head. Is it true you drank it because someone made you believe it would make you smart? Isabella blinked. Then slowly nodded. The guard looked down. That's really sad. I'm sorry, Ma. He walked away. And for the first time, the whisper behind her wasn't mockery, it was pity. The truth was spreading. Thanks to Dr. Angela. Meanwhile, Dr. Angela had started her own research. She looked through old school records. She found the name of Isabella's primary 5 lesson teacher. Miss Juliet. She searched online. And what she found made her heart stop. Miss Juliet had been arrested 6 years ago for giving fake pills to children in her compound. She told them it would open their brains. One of the pills had made a boy very sick. That was when her story came out. Dr. Angela printed the file and brought it to Isabella. Isabella looked at the photo of Miss Juliet and gasped. That's her. That's the woman. That's the one who told me to drink it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I wasn't crazy, she really did say it. You were a victim, Isabella, Dr. Angela said firmly. And we are going to make the world know that. Dr. Angela began writing a report. She called it, The Mind Behind the Habit, a case of early childhood conditioning in Miss Isabella James. She explained everything. The abuse at home. The false lesson from Miss Juliet. The loneliness. The habit that became a prison in her mind before it became a real prison. She sent the report to the prison board. To the court. To human rights organizations. A month later, Isabella was called to the warden's office. She sat in front of a small TV. A reporter was speaking. Breaking news, new evidence shows Miss Isabella may be innocent after all. The reporter continued, a well-respected psychologist, Dr. Angela, has uncovered shocking details about Isabella's childhood trauma. The teacher who gave her dangerous advice has a criminal past. Experts now believe Isabella was suffering from severe psychological conditioning. Isabella covered her mouth. Tears poured freely. People were starting to understand. They were seeing her differently. Not as a monster, but as someone who had been broken as a child. Someone who needed help, not hate. A few days later, a lawyer came to visit her. He was smiling. Miss Isabella, he said, we are reopening your case. Her hands began to shake again. We believe you were not in the right state of mind. You were not acting out of evil. You were surviving. What does that mean? She whispered. It means, he said, you might not be staying in this prison for long. That night, Isabella lay on her bed. For the first time in years, she didn't dream of shame. She didn't dream of urine. She dreamed of her mother. Holding her. Calling her smart. Calling her loved. A month later, the courtroom was packed again. But this time, things felt different. There were no angry parents shouting. There were no people pointing and laughing. This time, people listened. Isabella sat quietly at the front, wearing clean clothes. Her hair was brushed, and her face looked calmer, older, but stronger. Beside her sat Dr. Angela and the new lawyer. The judge entered and everyone stood up. He wore the same black robe, but his voice was softer now. We are here to review the case of Miss Isabella James, he said, looking around. Then the lawyer stood and began to speak. Your Honor, he said, Isabella James is not a criminal. She is a victim. Her story is not one of evil, but of deep pain and childhood trauma. He showed pictures, papers, and even the report from Dr. Angela. He explained how a trusted adult, Miss Juliet, told young Isabella that drinking her own urine would make her smart. He explained how Isabella believed it because she was desperate to feel worthy. She was bullied by her father. Mocked by her sister. She was lonely. And this one wrong idea became her secret comfort. People in the courtroom began to wipe their eyes. Even the judge looked moved. Dr. Angela stood next. I have worked with many people, she said, but Isabella's case broke my heart. She did not know better. Her mind was trained to believe something harmful. That is not madness, it is a wound. She needs healing. Not prison. After hours of listening, the judge finally spoke. He looked directly at Isabella. You were wrong to bring that flask to school, he said. But I now understand why it happened. You were not a danger. You were sick. And sadly, no one saw it until it was too late. Then he sighed deeply. I hereby cancel the lifetime sentence placed on Miss Isabella. Gasps filled the courtroom. She is free to go. But she must continue therapy. She must stay under care for as long as needed. Isabella couldn't breathe. Tears ran down her face. She looked at Dr. Angela. Am I really free? Dr. Angela smiled and nodded. Yes, Isabella. You're going home. But it wasn't the same home. The old house she lived in was gone. Her landlord had rented it out. So Dr. Angela made space in her own home, just a small guest room, but warm and quiet. She helped Isabella register for real therapy. They met twice a week. No more hiding. No more flasks. No more lies. The world was still talking, though. A famous newspaper wrote a headline. She drank her urine for years, but the truth broke the nation. Some people still laughed. But many others said sorry. Letters came in the mail. I used to bully people like you. I now know better. Thank you for being brave. My child saw your story and asked questions. Thank you for helping us teach kindness. Dr. Angela even got a call from a school. They wanted Isabella to come talk to students about truth, about pain, and about healing. Isabella said yes. She stood on the stage of that school hall one bright Saturday morning. Her hands were shaking. But her voice didn't break. She told her story. Everything. The pain, the secret, the lie that controlled her for years. And then she said, if you are hurting inside, tell someone. Don't keep secrets that destroy you. Please, don't be afraid. That night, she got a message on her new phone. It was from Jack's mother. She had never written before. Isabella's hand trembled as she opened it. It said, Dear Isabella, I was angry. I was broken. I blamed you for everything. But today, I watched your talk. I cried. I finally understood. Jack loved you. He always said you were the kindest teacher. I forgive you. I hope you forgive yourself too. Mrs. Okafor. Isabella pressed the phone to her chest. She cried and cried. But this time, they were tears of peace. Months passed. Isabella never touched urine again. She joined a group that helped girls who were bullied in school. She started writing a book. The Secret I Drank. It was a story for every child who ever felt broken, strange, or not good enough. She smiled more now. She wore brighter clothes. She still missed Jack. She always would. But she knew he was watching from heaven, telling her, it's okay, Miss Isabella.